The power of enough, escaping the trap of more. Have you ever noticed that the horizon is a line you can never actually reach? No matter how many miles you walk, the distance between you and the edge of the world remains exactly the same. Our modern lives are often lived in pursuit of a similar illusion. We are told that happiness is just one more achievement away, one more purchase away, one more zero in the bank account away. We are running a race where the finish line is constantly being moved by a world that profits from our discontent. But what if the most radical act of rebellion you could perform was to simply stop and declare, "I have enough"? Consider the story of a man named Silas. Silas was a master of accumulation. He lived in a city built on the philosophy of more. In this city, the height of your house determined the depth of your character, and the complexity of your possessions proved the importance of your soul. Silas was very important. He had the finest silks, the rarest spices, and a schedule so full it left no room for the sun to set. Yet every night, Silas felt a strange hollow ache in his chest, a hunger that no feast could satisfy. He felt like a man trying to fill a sieve with water. One day, Silas heard of a legendary gardener who lived on a barren cliffside far from the city. It was said that this gardener possessed a treasure so vast that even kings were jealous. Driven by his insatiable curiosity, Silas traveled for weeks to find him. When he finally arrived, he found an old man sitting in a small, tidy garden, holding a single wooden bowl of tea. The gardener's home was a simple stone hut. There were no silks, no gold, and no servants. "Where is the treasure?" Silas asked. His voice sharp with disappointment. "I was told you were the richest man in the land." The gardener smiled, and the lines on his face seemed to hold the wisdom of the earth itself. "You were told the truth," he said softly. "My treasure is that I have found the end of more. I have found the power of enough." Silas laughed. "Enough? Enough is for those who lack ambition. Enough is for the weak who cannot grasp what the world offers." The gardener gestured to the vast ocean below the cliff. "Tell me, Silas, if you were dying of thirst, would you try to drink the entire ocean? Or would a single cup of cool water be enough to save your life?" Silas fell silent. The gardener continued, "The ocean of more is salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You are dying of thirst because you are trying to swallow the world when all your soul needs is a single cup of peace." This is the core of a profound philosophical shift. In Stoicism, there is a teaching that poverty is not having too little, but wanting more. Seneca, the great Stoic advisor, once wrote that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. We have been conditioned to believe that enough is a state of deficit, a compromise made by those who have failed. But in reality, enough is the ultimate form of control. It is the moment you stop being a servant to your desires and become the master of your own contentment. Think about your own life. How much of your anxiety is born from the fear of not having enough? Not enough time, not enough money, not enough likes, not enough beauty. This fear is a trap. It keeps you focused on the future, on a version of yourself that is always just out of reach. It robs you of the only thing that is actually real. The present moment. This is where the Zen concept of santosa, or contentment, becomes a shield. Contentment is not about being passive. It is about realizing that your internal worth is independent of your external pile of things. To escape the trap of more, you must learn to recognize the threshold of utility. There is a point in every pursuit where the cost of getting more outweighs the joy it brings. A larger house brings more maintenance. A higher position brings more stress. More possessions bring more clutter to the mind. When you cross this threshold without realizing it, your possessions begin to possess you. You are no longer owning things, you are managing a museum of your own anxieties. The gardener told Silas, "The secret is to cultivate the immaterial. You cannot lose what you do not own, and you cannot be poor if your wealth is found in your character. Silas began to practice this. He returned to the city, but he started a process of strategic reduction. He began to ask a single question before every decision. Will this add to my peace or just to my pile? He found that by saying no to the unnecessary, he was finally able to say yes to his own life. He discovered the silence that exists when the noise of craving stops. He found that a simple meal eaten with a quiet mind tasted better than any banquet eaten in a hurry. This journey requires the discipline of mindfulness. You must become the observer of your own hungers. When the urge for more arises, driven by an advertisement, a social media post, or a feeling of inadequacy, stop, breathe. Ask yourself, is this a need of my soul or a demand of my ego? Most of the time, the ego is simply trying to patch a hole in your self-esteem with a new toy, but the soul cannot be patched with plastic or gold. It can only be healed by presence. Enough is a superpower because it makes you untouchable. If you are content with what you have, the world loses its leverage over you. You cannot be bribed by luxury, you cannot be intimidated by the loss of status, and you cannot be manipulated by the fear of missing out. You are free. You have built a fortress of tranquility that is immune to the fluctuations of the market or the whims of fashion. As you go through your day, look around you. Look at the air in your lungs, the clothes on your back, and the simple beauty of a cup of tea or a conversation with a friend. Try to find the enough in these moments. Realize that you are not a project to be completed or a vessel to be filled. You are already a masterpiece. The more you have been chasing is a ghost. The enough you have been ignoring is the key to your kingdom. Stand still, let the world rush past you in its frantic pursuit of nothing. Smile at the horizon, knowing you don't need to reach it. You are here. You have enough. And in that realization, you finally have everything.